Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today we have a video for you and we're going to talk about the upcoming White Dwarf update for the Tyranids. So the Tyranids are going to be receiving a White Dwarf update in the coming edition of White Dwarf, and it's going to include a Crusher Stampede list. What is a Crusher Stampede list, I hear you ask? Well, Crusher Stampede is a, big guy heavy army. It is a monster heavy army of Tyranids. There are some awesome things within it that really, one of the cool things about Tyranids are things like the Carnifex and the Hive Tyrant and all of that. Things I've loved forever with this army for Warhammer 40k. And the ability to run that massive monster list once again with a mix of Carnifexes and Hive Tyrants and Biovores and Pyrovores and all those big beasties is going to be amazing. So today we're going to talk about what exactly we're getting in this, and I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on what they think the Crusher Stampede is going to be like and if they're looking forward to running it. And so, first of all, before we get into anything else, let's check out our restrictions for the force. So, obviously, there's going to be restrictions on a force like this. They're trying to get you to play in a very particular way, whilst also giving you bonuses for playing in that particular way. So, first of all, your army cannot include any swarm units, so no Ripper Swarms, and it also can't include any models with wounds characteristic of 2 or less. So nothing like Gene Stealers, Gargoyles, Termagants, and Hormagaunts, etc. in the army, alongside no Ripper Swarms. However, for each unit in your army that does not have the monster keyword, so say a 2-wound unit of something, or a 3-wound units or higher, say something like Tyranid Warriors, which aren't monsters but do have the amount of wounds necessary to be included in the army, you must include at least 1 monster unit, so a Carnifex for every unit Tyranid Warriors or something like that, for example. All units in the army must have the Tyranid's keyword and must be drawn from the same Hive Fleet as well. With that, that's our restrictions, so let's get checking out the benefits we're going to get for playing in this particular army. Alright, and so let's look at the benefits we're going to get from this White Dwarf Tyranid update. So, first of all units in your army gain the Crusher Stampede keyword. Units from your army that without the monster keyword gain the Shielded by the Hive Mind ability, and monster units from your army gain the Hulking Behemoths ability. You have access to the Crusher Stampede Warlord traits and stratagems, and Crusher Stampede Psykers from your army can generate their psychic powers from the Mass Convergence discipline. So we've got some cool things. We'll talk about the traits, stratagems, and the convergence disciplines in a second. But first of all, we've got Shielded by the Hive Mind. This unit can never gain a Hive Fleet adaptation, first of all, but also models in the unit have a 5-up invulnerable. That's a pretty solid bonus to me. And then we've got Hulking Behemoths. Once again, this unit can never gain a Hive Fleet adaptation, and models in this unit have a 5-up invulnerable save. However, in addition, each time an attack is allocated to a model in this unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack to a minimum of 1, and models in this unit count as a number of models equal to their remaining wounds for the purposes of determining the control of objective markers. So, some pretty solid abilities. Our monsters get a lot harder to kill. All our units have a nice, good defensive invulnerable save. And we've got access to some really cool stuff as well, like the Warlord trait stratagems and Psykers abilities from the Convergence discipline. So we'll go have a look at all of that stuff now, but this is a pretty solid set of rules to really make you want to run this, big bug heavy list. And so, here we have the Warlord traits available to us. First of all, we've got Raging Influence. This is an aura ability, so while a friendly Crusher Stampede monster unit is within 6 inch of this Warlord, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 scores 1 additional hit. Pretty solid, making our monsters near our Warlord more fighty. This of course means you're wanting to get the Warlord into combat, so you want to put this on a combat offensive monster. And then we've got Savage Intimidation, another aura. Now this one debuffs our opponents more, so while the enemy is within 3 inch of the Warlord, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from the hit rolls of that attack, and each time a combat attrition test is taken, subtract 1 from that combat attrition test. So some cool debuffs in combat there. And then lastly, we have Rampaging Beast, where once per turn, when your Warlord is selected to fight, it can use this Warlord trait, and if it does so until the end of the phase, add D3 to the Warlord's attacks. Pretty darn solid there for some cool Warlord traits really buffing up our monsters. And so now we're into the stratagem specific to this particular Crusher Stampede army. And so first of all, we've got Thunderous Impact for 2 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Crusher Stampede monster model from your army has finished a piling move. You select one enemy monster or vehicle unit within engagement range of that model, and until the end of the phase, that model can only make attacks against the selected target, and each time it makes an attack, add 1 to the hit, wound, and damage rolls of attacks targeting said model you picked. So this can make one of your monsters a lot more fighty against a chosen target. You then got Terrifying Charge for a CP. You use this stratagem at the start of the morale phase. Select one enemy unit within engagement range of the Crusher Stampede monster model from your army that made a charge move this turn, and until the end of that turn, you subtract 3 from the leadership characteristic of models in that enemy unit. We then got Unbreakable Chitin, which has a cost of 1 or 2, and we'll explain that at the end. Use this stratagem in any phase when a Crusher Stampede unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of that phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, an unmodified wound roll of a 1 to 3 for that attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model making the attack may have. If that unit contains 5 or more models, or contains any models with a wounds characteristic of 10 or more, the stratagem costs 2 CP, otherwise it costs 1. So another cool one to keep your monsters in the fight a little bit more. And the next one here we have is Death Surge for 2 CP. This effectively allows one of your monsters to fight at full if it's killed in combat. So pretty nice there. And so here we have the rest of the stratagems. We've first of all got Breaking Through for a single command point. Use the stratagem in your charge phase when a Crusher Stampede monster model from your army finishes a charge move. You select one enemy model within engagement range of that model and roll a number of d6 equal to that monster model's remaining wounds. You do a mortal wound to that unit on a basis of if your strength is better than the target's toughness. On a 3+, you'll do the mortal wounds to a maximum of 6, so it's to a maximum of 6 for all of these. If you're equal strength and toughness with your opponent that you're targeting, then you will do it on 4s, and if you're actually lower with your strength and the toughness, you will do it on 5s. We then got Rapid Adaptation for a single command point as well. Use the stratagem before the battle begins when you're mustering your army. And you select one Crusher Stampede Tyranid Warriors unit from your army. Models in that unit have a weapon skill of 2+ and a ballistic skill of 3+. You can only use this stratagem once unless you're playing a Strike Force battle, in which case you can use it twice, or a Onslaught battle, in which case you can use it 3 times. So making your warriors better, which is pretty sweet. And lastly, we've got Enhanced Brain Functions for either 1 or 2 command points. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. You select one Crusher Stampede Tyranid Warrior unit from your army that is within engagement range of any enemy models. Until the end of that phase, models in the unit may make a ranged attacks using the Big Guns Never Tire rule as if they had the monster keyword themselves. If the unit has 5 or fewer models, it costs 1 CP. If they have more than 5, it'll cost 2 CP. So some pretty good stratagems there. You've got some for your Tyranid Warriors, you've got a lot for your monsters, you've even got one, that works for everything in your army that's not warriors and not monsters. So there's some cool spread of the stratagems here. And so lastly, we have the Psychic Powers from the Mass Convergence discipline, which is available to our Crusher Stampede Tyranid force. First of all, we have Synaptic Barrier. It's a blessing. It has a warp charge of 6, and if manifested, you select one friendly Crusher Stampede model within 18 inches of the Psyker. Until the start of your next Psychic phase, that model has a 4-up invulnerable. Pretty sweet. We obviously have 5-up invulnerables everywhere anyway, so a 4-up is a really cool little bonus to that. We then got Aggressive Surge, which again is a blessing and a warp charge of 6. If manifested, you select one friendly Crusher Stampede model within 18 inches of the Psyker, and until your next Psychic phase, add D3 to the attacks. And lastly, we've got the last one where it's a blessing, warp charge of 6. If manifested, select one friendly Crusher Stampede unit, excluding Synapse units, within 18 inches of this Psyker. Until the start of your next Psychic phase, each model that unit makes a melee attack. You can reroll your hit rolls. So some really cool little blessings there for our Psychic Powers. What do you all think of the Crusher Stampede Tyranid force? I've just picked up a Tyranid force for the channel thanks to Mithras Games. It's got a couple of monsters. It definitely needs a few extra pieces to be able to run a Crusher Stampede, but I would love to be able to run a Crusher Stampede force in that army. So let us know what you think about this force in the comments below. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts, and hopefully we can get this on the channel at some point in the near future. Well, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And while you're at it, drop us a comment below in the comment section and let us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our fine little community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon and YouTube members, and you can go help support the channel via Patreon and YouTube members as well and get access to, if you're a YouTube member, some of our awesome little gifts or get choice of what we're going to do for content on the channel. You can follow those links in the description of the video to Patreon and YouTube members. But a shout out to them all, our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nielsen, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, and James Cater. And to our YouTube members as well, a special shout out to Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Aronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, and Broken Chef. Lastly, I'd like to give a special shout out first of all to Lady Witchvox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel that you see here, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing work and the background work for our Discord server. Thank you both very much for all your help. That's it for today though, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.